It's a family affair. It's a family affair.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you, Marquette. Morning, afternoon, evening, social media fam. As I promised, I'm back again. And as I told you before, I will be posting something every week. Again, not something about uh, myself, but something positive, something entertaining, and something inspiring. Today, I have something that's all of those things. I have a friend. I have a superhero. I have a woman who has done many things. And like I say, I'm proud to say she is a wonderful, good friend. And I could go on and on. She was in Ebony Jet. She managed all of these entertainers and so on. And you see her right now. We're gonna go through it as we go because I could talk and it'd be my interview, but I want to introduce my good friend, Judge Leonia J. Lloyd.
Hi there. Hi, John.
I'm just glad to be here. I'm just so glad to be here and call you my friend. And
Thank
you're here. And I could go on. I just didn't read your bio because I could go on and I don't. I'm an abbreviated person, so I'm just gonna jump right in. This is why we here today. This is why we here today. You wrote this fabulous memoir, and again, I like to put my money where my mouth is, and I've read it like 1.5 times. I'm gonna put it right there for the folks to see. Your Honor, a journey through grief to restorative justice. Fabulous, uh, tearjerker, and you also sat on the 36 more than 20. I don't know how you put 20 years in there. I mean, I guess we're getting along, but you're a
24.
judge, lawyer, and let's start right with the book. Let's start right with the book because I could get long. And first, let me tell people watching to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Of course, like, comment, and share. It's always good to share. Our parents taught us we should share, right? So share. But we're gonna jump right in with Judge Lloyd. And through this interview, I'm gonna call her judge, I'm gonna call her counselor, I'm gonna call her friend because she's all those things, mentor, you name it, she's that to me. I'm honored to interview her. Let me turn it on her before we go. What did you try to do? Tell us about Your Honor, and how you were inspired to write it and what you would like everybody to know. So let's get that out of the way.
Okay. Well, John, thanks for having me, number one. Okay. And as far as the book is concerned, you knew my sister, and uh, we were always very, very, very close. And one of the things Leona and I said was that we were going to write a book one day about our life. And the reason we wanted to was because people sometimes try to judge a book by its cover. They don't open it up. They don't know who you really are. And they make assumptions. And, I said, people, they really didn't know our story. They didn't know how many struggles we've been through. And a lot of people would have given up. A lot of people would have stopped. And we kept going and we just kept pushing and we kept going. And she said, we have to encourage other people, particularly after we got to be judges. She said, both of us believed our courtrooms were empowerment zones, which meant if you walked in the door, we felt you should walk out better than the way you came in. Now, you may not be ready for what's going to happen because you thought you might just come in and just pay a fine on a ticket, something of that nature. But our job was to make sure that if we could use our court, our position to help you, we would. So when you see someone come in and you know that, they're at this position, but you can help move them to this one, that will help them the rest of their life. Forget about the ticket, whether or not you end up throwing that out. The bottom line is that how can you improve this person's life? And I used to always say, even if one person, but it ended up being a multitude of people over 24 years, a multitude of people. Um, you know, that was what we were seeing. And she said, we have to help inspire people to let them know they're going to get hit, they're going to get knocked down, but they got to know that they can get back up. They got to know that no matter what, you get back up, you dust yourself off, no matter what the obstacle is. It may even seem insurmountable, but you have to go on. When my sister passed, my secretary said, "Are you going to write the book, Judge? Are you still going to write it?" She used to hear us talk about it. And I said, "I'm still going to write it." I said, "I promise her I'm going to write the book." And I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be, because a lot of feelings and emotions came up. You know, every time she would ask me at Christmas time, we'd have the 2 weeks off from the court, was I going to start? And in the first 5 years, I couldn't even go through pictures, you know, without crying. And you have to be able to sit down and write. You can't just cry all blubber all over your paper. You can't do that. And I wasn't there yet. And in the next 5 years, she asked the same thing every year. And it wasn't until after she retired and I was connected with a lawyer who had thought my life was interesting to the point where he wanted to do a screenplay. And he connected me up with a screenplay writer, and she wrote it, and it was fine, but it's not like the book. The book is much more in depth. The book, you know, screenplay, there's rules, how the length, et cetera, how many pages it's got to be. That in and of itself will limit, you know, if you're doing a screenplay for just one shot, one movie, whatever it is. And I said, I still want to write the book. Now I had to dig deep for the screenwriter to give them material. So I had kind of got past that emotional barrier. And I said, I'm ready. That was 19 years later. Okay. And I said, I'm ready to start writing. And it was to make sure that people know that no matter what, they have to set a goal and work towards that goal. Have a dream, have a big dream, something that you think you can't do. And then you start mapping it out, map out the steps, see what it is that you have to do, and then you start working towards it. Don't have that attitude like it's too big. I know I can't do it. You know, people who read the book see Leona and I went from thing to thing to thing. Was there a in-depth blueprint for us? No, we just believed we could do it. We started mapping out the way. It wasn't because someone showed us. It wasn't because someone went before us and had done it and guided us by the hand. It was because we had a belief in ourselves. And the bottom line is that you have to have the courage and the faith to step out. And that's what we did. We stepped out on faith, and we had the courage, and we made the plan. And that's primarily why I wrote this book. I want people to step outside of a comfort zone. And I want them to say, I can change. I don't have to stay stuck in a rut. I can change. You know, I've got the rest of my life. I can change. Don't think because you've done something for X amount of years, well, that's all I'm going to do. And no, it's not, unless you decide that. You know, I've had several careers, like you said, I wore several hats. And I remember when I went from teaching after getting certified and all of that, and my mother said, what do you mean you're going to law school? You got your certification, they never can fire you, and da 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 da. And I said, I know that, but I want to do this now. And so she told my uncle, she said, the kids, meaning me and my sister, are going to go to law school. He said, why? Didn't you say they had certification? My mother said, yes. He was a funeral director. He said, well, why are they leaving their security? She said, I don't know. I think they're crazy. And so she came from a school where when you got one thing, it was pretty much solid, you stay with it. I came from a world of thinking during the time from civil rights movement to the Black Power movement of change. And I believed in change and motivation. That meant not staying in a rut. That meant looking beyond what I've already accomplished. And now I want to do that. And after I do that, I can see myself as this. We had that what was it, that statement, if you can see it, you can be it. And we believe that. And I could see myself in every hat that I ended up wearing. I could see myself doing it. So that's why I wrote the book.
Okay. How difficult was that? Do all these songs have a meaning for you? That we open with a family affair, right? And that's one of the songs. That must have been difficult. Are all these songs significant? I mean, how big was the piano and the music in you guys' lives that it would be come full circle to the piano to hear?
Right. Well, the piano it was an instrument that, basically when you learn it, of course, you're learning so much about music. Okay. Even though you might not play all these other instruments, but you've got scales and all that stuff. And as we went from book to book to book, you begin to appreciate what artists really do. Leona and I said, well, we are never going to be like those brain children that my mother would look at on TV, and they were like with the piano. I said, we're not gonna ever be like that. And we're gonna be good students, but those were people who were very gifted. Okay, that was a gift given to them. All right, but music became ingrained in us, and we would go out after 3 years of music. We would go out and get sheet music that was not part of our lessons, and we would practice it, and then we would come back, do our lesson for the teacher, and then we said, we have something to show you. And Leona and I get on the piano and do a duet. Okay. And she looked at us and she said, my, when did you all have time to do this? We said, well, we went to the music store and we found this, and we wanted to be able to play this. So we would surprise her from time to time, in addition to our lesson. And we would come in there and we got music that we liked, that we were interested in. And then that, of course, while we're busy doing that, we're in choir. We like singing. Not that we could sing, we didn't have voices like those, velvet throated birds, but we could carry a note and we love singing. So, that music was in us. And then as we kept growing older and the transistor radio came out, like computers are to kids today, well, that was what that was like to us. We had that thing glued to our head and we knew every song. Didn't matter if it was pop, R&B, didn't matter. Leona and I knew all the songs. So it was just ingrained. And then as we got older, of course, with Motown coming, we finished all the books that we could get in John Thompson's. So she couldn't teach us nothing else. And it was a perfect timing because we were then at that point 15. And we took an interest to music and dancing, and my mother was like a little jitterbug, so I guess we got that from her, and we couldn't sit down. Music just had us jumping, and so it was kind of natural for us to really. When I became a teacher, and I had already majored in the arts and stuff like that, performing arts at Wayne State. Speech was one of my majors. English was a major. The bottom line, and also social studies, because again, I had that thing for people and how we were moving. The first time I even read Malcolm X was in one of those courses, okay? And I had a white teacher, but he then gave us 10 books to read, and one of them was Malcolm X. Leona and I were the only two little Black students in the class. We had never heard of Malcolm X. And when we brought the book home, my father looked at it and said, who's reading this? And I said, we are. He said, I know him. And I said, you know this man, Daddy? And he said, called him Detroit Red. I said, and then he began to tell us a story about, that lifestyle that guy had. And then we're reading and we're listening to my father and we're fascinated. We didn't know anything like that about my father knowing anything. That led to the Purple Gang, the lobsters, all that stuff. My father was telling us how they met by the river and all that stuff. And we're sitting there and we're really engaged, listening. But the bottom line was that, when you look at how we got to where we got, how culture came in, all of that was part of culture. All of that, from the reading, from all the music, all around us all the time. So it wasn't unusual that we decided to go on a dance show. wasn't unusual. We just had to find someone that had a driver's license. So, we didn't have one, so we were too young. And my parents let us go. We became the Swinging Time Twins. So, we were known for dancing, and so when I became a performing arts teacher, doing plays, musicals, right up my alley, right up my alley. And then when we became lawyers, we said entertainment law, but that was through doing Mojo's contract. And we said, we're going to help with artists. Now, we could have picked any area in entertainment to deal in. We picked music.
You're
And
getting
that's
ahead.
how we met you.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay.
You getting ahead of me. Let me step back just one. So let me see, you guys you were Mustangs, because I did with the DPS thing. You guys went to Mumford, you taught at Cass, and your sister she was a Husky, taught at Redford. Then you're Detroit through and through, born and raised in Detroit,
Right.
still in Detroit, and that's a wonderful thing. When you're a teacher, because I'm a teacher, was it always a plan to go do 4 years, or at what point while teacher did you start your first year and say we're gonna do 4 years and we're going to law school, or was it 2 or 3 years? I mean,
Yeah.
I ask the same. People always ask me, they want to be a
Right.
principal.
Well,
So
that's a good question, because while teaching, and I was in my third year, but right before getting into teaching, I had became interested in law during my last year in college. Okay, I was into the civil rights situation. I was watching young lawyers on TV make a change, and I told Leona, we both like the same shows, and both of us said, in order to effect change, we gotta be a lawyer. And so, well, now we planned on being teachers. We almost finished school. Now, we got to finish what we started. That's number one. I said, but we really got interested. We joined the pre-law group. I headed up one of the buses going to Washington to meet the senators and everybody else. I was told, law is a man's profession. Why are you in it? Are you two getting in it? I said, it's not a man's profession. Yes, it is. Even my ex-mother-in-law said, well, honey, that's a male's profession. Her son was interested in becoming a lawyer, and that was cool, but that didn't have nothing to do with me becoming a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. Again, we had already learned from our father, you define what you want to be. If you make that decision, that's your decision. No one can stop you from being or doing what you want to do except you. And he drilled that in our head. So here I was knowing I was going to be a teacher, but now I'm also looking at a track in law. And this is right before we finished school. And Leona was interested in the same thing. So, for my trips up to Washington, back, I came back really wanting to get into law, but I'm about to graduate. And I got a job teaching at Cass. And again, God shined a light on me, because all of a sudden this lady says, I hear you doing a good job. Come and meet me and tell me what you want to do. And I was told by my supervising teacher, you said you wanted to teach at high school. Well, that's not going to be possible. He said, there is a lot of teachers that are trying to get in high school. You more than likely will be in junior high school. And then the kids in the class said, well, is that what you plan to do? And I said, no, I'm going to teach high school, and then I'm going to law school. And then he said, the law profession is crowded. It's overcrowded. He said, so you better look at something else. And I looked at him and said, this is my first day underneath my supervising teacher as a student teacher. I looked at him, I said, that there's not a lot of good lawyers. And that's what I'm going to be. So the kids looked at him and looked at me. Here I am with my Angela Davis afro, my little wireless glasses. And again, no one defines what I should do but me. And I did not care who you were. You're only there to grade me as a teacher. I am there as that person, but you don't define what happens in my life. I went on to do exactly what I said. I became a teacher. I said, well, Leona and I both had to get cars. She didn't have a car at all. I did. But she said, once we pay off this car, then we go to law school.
So
So
that was the defining part, was that paying off that car?
it was going to be paid off in a 4-year time period. And the 4-year time period, we had applied to law school. Absolutely.
Okay.
And as soon as we finished paying that car off, we were admitted into law school. And that's how we planned that. We couldn't go owing something over our head and we don't have a job. And we wanted to put all our time into the classes for law school because we knew it was hard. So you couldn't do both. And that's you measure your time, you look at the goal, you see how you're going to reach your goal, and you make your plans. That's what we did.
Okay. And now, so where we come in is the music thing too. And I'm going to play like a couple of bars of something. And then I want you to comment.
Okay.
I mean, we had a #1 R&B record. That was a #1 pop record in the country.
Correct.
Boy, was I jealous. My partner and I, we sought you guys out for a lot of reasons. You guys were gorgeous, you were intelligent, you were famous, and we were like, we have to get them. But Ready for the World came just before us. And I don't know if I knew it from reading this. You know what I mean? We talked a lot on the road because you were on the road with us. But if it would have been for you guys, it wouldn't have been any Ready for You discovered those guys. I mean, you mentioned Mojo first, but it was a mission for you guys to pull some talent from this area. And you discovered that group. I pulled that. I have that album upstairs. I pulled it out.
Okay.
And I knew you guys were big, but you guys discovered Ready for the World. Do you keep in touch with Melvin and those guys? How? Just a little bit of that. Okay. Talk a little bit about Ready for the World.
Yeah, they they had that album, of course, broke all kind of records. Okay, it went platinum. It did all kind of records, and that's something that's unusual for a first-time artist. And you're right. First, they went to Mojo and said, "Can you help us get a deal?" And he said, "No." He said, "But my lawyers, they probably can help you." And that's how we met them. He told us, "I'm referred them to you all, and they'll probably call." He said, "Don't let them scare you because they look a little rough." And I said, well, I don't think we're gonna be scared of them. But they were very nice. They're very quiet. They're very nice. And one of them had a dog collar like thing on. So that's probably why he said that. But it wasn't as easy as what people think. You all had put out your record and it had done well. They did not have any money to put out anything. And we said,
we didn't have any money.
Okay. And I believe that. I mean, most artists, by the time they get to recording and doing all of that, they don't have any money. And so Mojo said, he listened, he said, "I'm telling you, this group could be the next time." That was why we invested in them and said, well, should we put it in the studio? They don't have money to go into a 24-track studio. But they said we did all this ourselves and blah, blah, blah. So we put them into a 24-track studio. We were there all day. That was the first time we ever sat in a studio all day long. And again, you learn a lot sitting there watching, as they record. And when Mojo, we came back, we played it for him, and he said, "What is this?" I said, "That's that song that you said was a hit." He said, "It's a bunch of crap." I said, me and my sister looked at him. Now, you done blew a grand that day in the studio. So I'm like, we too tired to sit up here. This ain't funny to us. And so he said, "Who recorded them before?" We said, "I don't know." And he said, "Find out who recorded them because that person gave them their sound." And we then called them, and then they told us Bernard Terry. And I said, "Well, Mojo says that guy gave you his sound, and we need to put him in the studio with you. He needs to fix whatever." Mojo said this is something he would never play. And boy, they were Mojo fans. So we found him and he came in and we paid him to come in and redo the song. Then when we came out the studio that day and we let Mojo hear it, we didn't tell him what we did. He said, it's back. We said, what's back? He said, the magic is back. What did you do? We did what you told us to do. We found the man who recorded them. And that was how that, that happened. But it means taking an artist that you believe in and deciding to do something with that artist, okay, period. Wherever they are at the time they come to you. And with them, I laughed and I talked to Gordon quite a bit. Gordon is the one I basically stay in contact with. And all of them have different lives now. They totally different, and Melvin they formed two groups now. So it's two groups of Ready for the World. But
Oh, like the Temptations back in the day.
Right, just like that, only I think Temptations is going to be about three groups. They have so many members, right? So it's when you look at it. I asked Gordon and I said, well, Gordon, now that you've been out in the world, I said it's been way over 20, 30 years since that record came out. I said, now that you know people, now that you understand, everybody that you meet ain't your friend. Everybody that's out there that said they're going to do something for you, they may not do. How many people have you met that would have done the same thing for you that Leona and I did? He said, none. They might not be ready for the world. That's what Gordon said. So if that answers your question. And they when they do perform here, of course, they call us how many tickets you want. They box. And I laughed and I said to Willie, I said, I was gonna have. He gave me 2 tickets for when they were down at the casino performing, and then I said, well, we also got Dan and Otto. Dan, I wasn't even gonna go. Otto wanted to go, and Otto was gonna buy the tickets, and I said, well, let me see. Wait a minute, I might could just get tickets for all of us. Well, they only had so many because they were the opening act. They weren't the major act. And so I said, okay. I said, well, I'm going to sit with them. Then they're going to buy 4 tickets. And so he said, but the tickets we got is a lot better than whatever he's going to buy. I said, that's not the point. The point is they're my friends. And the point is they extended it to me. So I'm going to be with them. But we all met prior to them, about maybe an hour and a half before the show in the lobby of the hotel. So I said, okay, we'll meet you out there. We got there early. We got there. They came out and we took pictures and all that stuff. The bottom line was, you can't discard friends like that. Just because you can get better seats. And then you say, well, I got these 2 seats and they're better, but I'll meet y'all later. Leona and I were never like that. And I just couldn't do it. So, and they understood that, but Willie said, no matter where we play, there will always be 2 tickets for you, always. He said, even up in heaven, you got 2 tickets waiting for us. He said, for life, and I laughed and I said, okay.
That's a good segue because that's a good segue because we talk about, again, Mark played that song Family Affair and we are family, and where's my guy? So I invited somebody to come on, and I don't see him. He
says connecting.
He says connecting. That's kind of what happens. But if you can see, but anyway, he'll be here shortly.
Okay.
But I will in a minute. I'm gonna want you to give us a little reading.
Okay.
I don't know if you got my message and that I want you to read.
Right.
But I guess while we're waiting, are you prepared to read?
Sure.
Now?
I have it. I'll put my little peepers on.
Oh yeah. Okay, you got to give us a sample because again, I read this book, and what I want to do is, again, I'll throw my little thing in there. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. and also in the comments, I'm gonna pick someone, and Leonia is going to sign a book.
Okay.
And I'm gonna raffle, and I'm gonna pick a random comment. I'm gonna pick, make sure it's got to be a good comment too. And I'm gonna send a copy. You guys got to read this. It's powerful on so many levels and in so many ways. So she's gonna give us. Here comes my guy. We're gonna say what's up to my guy. What's up, my guy? Come on, man. Where you at? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I see Greg.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
He surprised me. He didn't tell me.
I did. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
I see him on Facebook though. You know, he's the #1 seller of exotic cars and
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's where I'm buying my next car from. Yeah.
You glad that family there?
That's my brother for life. Greg, she's about to read an excerpt from her wonderful novel. Your Honor.
Oh yeah, hold on. I got
Well,
one.
get yours, man. Come on, you can't come without.
I got mine too.
That's right. See, we roll. That's how we roll. That's how we roll, counselor. That's how we roll. Judge.
I guess. Okay.
Let me
Are
turn.
you ready?
Are you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
This is chapter 13, a lucky number. A day that changed my life forever. And their subtitle is a song, My Whole World Ended the Moment You Left Me. One particular hot, sticky, and uncomfortable day in June, Leon and I were on our way to talk to a group of junior high school kids at Hope Academy in Detroit. It was their graduation day, and we were commencement speakers. Leona and I had spoken at school graduations many times before, both separately and together. Despite the stifling heat, Leona wanted us to wear our majestic judicial robes with the doctoral hoods and the velvet tams. I told her they were too heavy and hot for the weather, but she said, I know, but the sight of the Black judicial robes on 2 twin judges will grab their attention and will be unforgettable. Well, as soon as we walked out, we heard the kids ooh and ah, and then bust into applause. As hot as I was, I knew from their response, Leona had been right. We felt the excitement of the young people as they jumped up from their seats clapping. Leona leaned over and whispered, I told you. Watching and feeling the enthusiasm of the kids sparked a flame inside of me. As Leona stepped up to speak first, I watched the enthralled faces of the young people. Leona was animated and knew how to get a crowd to respond to her or over-the-top statements. As Leona spoke, the kids spontaneously burst out clapping. Their faces beamed with excitement. Leona told them they could be anything. They just had to set a goal and develop the steps that would make it happen. I watched their bright young faces as Leona spoke. They did not even notice the heat. I sat there waiting to speak next. I thought to myself, maybe some of these children, by listening to us, will think, I too can become a judge, a lawyer, or a doctor. Look at them. If they did it, I can too. Well, I was next, and I was determined to keep the fire Leona had started going. As I spoke, I let them know that after they had set their goals, they had to ignore the naysayers who would tell them they couldn't do it, they weren't good enough, or it would be a waste of their time to try to achieve their dreams. I told them to keep dreaming and working towards those dreams and not to let anyone turn them around. And then I had them repeat after me a phrase from an old Black spiritual, and they had to say it like they meant it. I ain't gonna let no one turn me around. I ain't gonna let no one turn me around. I ain't gonna let no one turn me around. I ended with a thank you. At that moment, the young people, their parents, and even the teachers rose to their feet clapping. The crowd of more than 300 people cheered, and the children were engaged and energized. Leona stepped up next to me, and we took a bow. The two boys came up to us at that moment, handed us a bouquet of flowers, and we looked out at the crowd and bowed. The parents came up to us, shake our hands, and take pictures with us. They were as excited as their kids. One parent told us, the two of you said what our kids needed to hear. In fact, us grown folks needed to hear that message you delivered today. We know you spoke to motivate our kids, but to be truthful, your words motivated some of us adults as well. I know you moved me, and I plan to change some of the things in my life. Like you said, it's not too late to dream and to move on that dream. Thanks to both of you for waking me up this evening. The woman smiled, and then she walked away. We wanted to effect change and motivate the students, and we felt that we had accomplished that, inspiring and empowering some of the parents to reignite their lives. Well, that was a bonus. The evening had gone great, just as we had planned, and now it was time for us to go home and wind down. I had no inkling of the horrific evening that was waiting for us. As we entered our residential community that evening, we talked about the excitement of the kids and how motivated they were. I dropped Leona off at her house, and she reminded me that it was our movie night. Leona and I had lived just a few hours from each other and treated ourselves to a DVD movie a couple of nights a month. This time, our movie night was at Leona's house. I told her that as soon as I changed clothes, I would come over to her house to see the movie. I had chosen a race car movie, Gone in 60 Seconds, as Leona liked sleek, fast cars and had owned a few in the past. After being delayed on a phone call, I finally arrived at Leona's house. Gwen, one of our dearest friends, and we considered a play cousin, arrived shortly after I did and joined us. We all settled in with popcorn and soda. This movie is supposed to be really good, I said enthusiastically. Leona and I were seated on opposite ends of a love seat. I started the movie, but Gwen and Leona kept cackling back and forth. So I had to restart the movie 3 times before they settled down to watch it. The movie had played for 15 minutes when Leona kicked me. Looking at her, I asked, "Why did you kick me?" She did not answer. Then I noticed her eyes looked dull and half closed. I called out, "Leona, Leona." She still did not answer me.
Powerful.
That was the night.
Well, I read that to my wife last night because I said, I need, I want Leonia to read something. And I read it to her and I got to that part and she said, don't stop. When your sister passed, I know, I don't think Greg and I think Greg was already in Atlanta at the time. Were you in Atlanta, Greg?
I was here in Atlanta. Victor called me.
Yeah, huh?
I remember Victor had called me and I was like,
yeah. And I remember saying, me and Greg thinking, because we know how close you guys were. And yeah. So
yeah, I remember I said to myself, what is Leonia gonna do?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Well, what Greg just said, people, at the funeral, because I was totally out of it. I had people plan the funeral for me. They came over here, they took over my house, and they, her ex-boyfriend was the person who published the books that were printed and stuff. And all I had to do was put my message in there from her and provide pictures. And so, it was a very lost feeling, that I had. And when I wrote these 3 or 4 chapters on this, I had a girlfriend, and she's a judge, and she said, "Leonia, at first I was going to start the book with it, but then I changed and moved it. But she said, when you write that, I want you to send it to me, but you have to take me there." And I said, "Okay." She said, No. you have to take me there. I want to know all the thoughts running through your head because I watched you at the funeral. She said you were rocking your body. And I didn't even know I was doing that. And when she told me that, I said, I was rocking my body. And she said, you were rocking and rocking and rocking. And she said, and I was crying. She said, it was one of the saddest funerals I'd ever been to. And she said, but I was saying to myself, what is going to happen to you? And I guess that was on the mind of a lot of people, because when my minister got up there and as he was talking, and he was kind of a boisterous kind of minister, but he looked out at people and said, and for all of you who are out there wondering what's going to happen to her, and I looked and he pointed at me and he said, she gonna be just fine. And I said, people wondering what's going to happen to me? I'm still in a daze about Leona, because you got to remember, you read the book, you know, I didn't know what she died from. You know, we were sitting up there laughing, just got through speaking to some kids and taking pictures with a whole ton of kids and their parents. And this is movie night. You know, we got the popcorn going, we got all this. And she had exercised, she walked 5 miles a day. Even though she came back from that, she walked 5 miles. She had on her cute little walking outfit. And that was Leona. She got to be cute when she walked. She got to be cute when she played tennis. So she had that on. And I looked at it and I said, I was eating some ribs down the street. I did not have anything. I didn't do no exercise. And so you can imagine, and I think about when 9/11 happened and those people went up in a plane, no one ever saw these people again. They had these strange feelings like, are they still alive? And I said, I can understand what they're thinking about, because she's right here. And then all of a sudden, she just disappears in front of me. Her body's still there, but she disappears. And it never happened to me before. My mother, when she passed, she'd been sick for a long time, you know. My father, same thing, you know, a lot of problems. Leona didn't have any problems, none that I could see. You know, I just all of a sudden it just happened. They call it sudden death. And I said, you know, she wasn't answering me. She wasn't responding to me. We were just laughing a minute ago. I was telling her to shut up, be quiet, you know, and she was gone. So when people looked at me, it was common for them to think what Greg just said, what is the other one going to do? Because most people said, if you saw one, if you didn't see the other one, she right around the corner, you know? So, you know, and we supported each other in everything that we did. We could disagree on stuff, that didn't matter. But she's gonna be there in the crunch, period. Don't nobody go against me. You know, she could disagree with me, but can't nobody go against me. That was it. That's plain, you know. And when you read the book, if you read the part about when mother said we were fighting like cats and dogs, because we did that. But she said, go ahead, kill each other. And we stopped, we froze. And she used the word kill. Mama said kill. And so, and she said, your father gonna die, I'm die, and right now you have each other, but if you kill each other now, you won't have nobody. So go ahead and kill each other. Now, before she used to pull us apart and things like that, not this time. And so we looked at each other, and when she walked out, and the owner came and sat on my bed and said, I don't want to kill you. I said, I don't want to kill you either. And then we hugged each other. We never hit each other after that. Now, did we argue? Of course we kept arguing. Of course we did. Never hit.
It felt a little strange just to when you were on the road with us. We were on the road for, I don't know, a few months, and we were like, me and Greg are like, you know, it's kind of odd just having Leonia here.
Yeah, that was odd.
You know, that was before real cell phones, right? But you
Right.
notice I would get in the hotel, like you all wanted certain outfits made. Remember that? Y'all had to have them silky like pajamas, like LB Sure and the rest of them. And all that.
Great.
Okay,
that was great.
That was great.
I think that was you.
And y'all had 3 different colors you wanted, right? And I'm on the phone. Leona is done with the lady who makes your clothes. She got your sizes. Leona's now taking care of that. I know I had backup. I knew if I called her, it wasn't no stuff when you call somebody and they say, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then you call them back and then they ain't done nothing. They ain't done squat. And Leona's like, I picked it up. You should have them tomorrow. I felt expressed. I told y'all, here your outfits, okay? Y'all didn't even worry about it. Y'all didn't even think about it. But Leona was my backup. With her, I could rely on her. When they asked me to do drug court, well, her first, she said, only if Leonia does it with me. Because you see, we form a team. And I know Leonia has my back. I got hers. I know we can make this fly. And the girl said, no, we only want one. That's you. Leona said, then I don't want to do it. As much as we both wanted to do drug court, as much as we got the court to sign up a drug court program, we weren't asked to be the first judges. She was. And she said, I don't even want to do this. She said, why didn't they ask when I wanted to do this? Well, they didn't. But when she finally got asked, she said, no. Leona said, I can only trust you. And if I can't do it with you, I don't want to do it at all. We do it in our own courtrooms. We do it better than they do it anyway. And that's what we told one guy. He said, I want you all to do drug court. He said, I know the two of you do your own form of drug court and you get, I said, well, let me ask you this question. What's our success rates compared to drug court? He said, you all have it beat, you have beat, far beat, you're better than us. That's why we need you. Well, she died shortly after that. And I took off 3 months. And then when I came back a few months later, I was asked by that same judge, will you do drug court? I should have did what your sister wanted. She said, and she started crying. And I said, I knew Leona wanted us to do it. I knew that. But she was no longer there. And I knew why she wanted us to do it, to help more people than just the ones that were coming in front of us with those issues. So I said, yes. But the thing is that it would have, I said, the one guy who wanted us to do it, he said, you all have gotten monumental attention to this program because you're twins. And he said, and that's too bad that, you know, she didn't say yes to that. She should have. We need the attention. Nobody sends us cases. And I said, well, I wouldn't have a problem. I said, when I joined it, the guy who was running the court said, I just have one question. We have so many people sending people now to drug court since Judge Lloyd came. Why didn't we have this before? It's going to erupt and happen. And, but I wasn't going to say all that, okay? But the bottom line was, you know, that was just something that we wanted to do. But yeah, Leona went on the road. She holding down the fort, but it was her. I knew that she had my back. I could go anywhere with y'all. Long as you get me to a phone, if I need something, she gonna send it. It's gonna be there.
We didn't have cell phones. Ain't that something?
Ain't it?
Leonia, speaking about on the road, and we did a little ready for the world just before you got here, Greg. Greg and I are going to, you know, I've been pulling at Greg. I've been twisting his arm, and in the summer 2022,
Okay.
Greg and I are going to do a show here.
Oh, good.
And,
The old man show.
Old man show.
Okay.
And of course we're gonna want you to come and say a few words or have some part of it. I mean, you were big, like I said, you know, I told her, Greg, that we came and got her because they was bad. We was like, we gotta get this. we gotta have
best
them.
thing in the world.
So just keep that in mind, not this summer,
Okay.
but next summer. And then in that I want to show you guys two things, and you guys got to tell me where this is from. You know, this is a reunion right here. Y'all got to tell me where this is from, right? I got two. All right. Oh, you got to tell me where this is from. Sharon, tell me where this is from.
That's the boat, and that's the air.
Oh, yeah, Bob Lowe.
That's not Bob Lowe. That was that special boat for dinner. That Tony Anderson had Aris.
Oh, sure did. Yeah.
He had to rent the whole boat for you all. The whole boat.
Look at my hair.
I remember Greg wanting to have his hair like that. I said, now, Greg, you know, you got to keep it up like this. I know. But
I got one more.
Wow. Where you get these pictures from?
Tony Anderson. Yep. And what's the
Dr.
little guy in the back?
That's Dorado Michael Walden.
Yeah,
Yep.
Michael Walden. This was in California.
You sure?
Because I remember the dress I had on. I remember the dress.
I thought it might have been Jack the Rapper, but it was in California.
That was Jack the Rapper.
That's Jack.
Because he was there. Because
But wasn't that in California? Wasn't that in California?
No, that was here.
It was in Atlanta.
I don't know.
It wasn't in Atlanta. Oh, I thought you meant here, Detroit. I said we ain't had nothing here in Detroit.
I don't know where that's at because I remember being with him in California. He went jogging somewhere. You remember that?
This was in Atlanta.
I thought so, but
It might have been. It might have been because Atlanta was warm, and Michael Walden was he from there?
Oh, I don't know.
No, he was from California, but he was there.
Okay.
That's pretty good. You get those cool pictures.
I got stuff when we was in Germany,
Look.
Europe.
Oh, y'all should have pictures. You remember when I took that camera around and I was taking pictures for you? I said, "You gonna laugh? You're laughing now, but I called it the idiot camera, and it always took good pictures."
Yeah.
And I said, and I made copies for each one of you. I said, and when you get kids, you're gonna be able to show these pictures to your kids. Did y'all remember me saying that?
You know what though? I got pictures with me, you, in California when we did that thing in California.
Yes. I know what you're talking about with Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams was there. Yes. I got those
Khan.
pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, I remember. And y'all were signing autographs. I remember that.
I'm a pull rank, guys, and I'm because I know times is, because I'm gonna have to edit this. So I'm a pull rank, and we're gonna go. I just want to, guys, y'all gotta get this. Greg got it, I got it, I gotta get it, and not only get it, but support, read, tell your friends. Tell your friends, read it, post reviews. Let's do this. And Leonia, something I want to talk to you about, and I'll just touch on it. I told you before, I think this, and I really believe this because it's about culture. There should be mandatory reading in high schools in this city, in any urban city, period.
You know what?
But not just high school. But not just high schools. Now I'm starting in my school. From middle school too, because at high school, a lot of times it's a little late.
Right.
My kids could benefit greatly from seeing what two young ladies from Detroit are capable of.
Right.
And this is perfect reading for them. So when I come to you and say, I need you to come to my school and talk, and we're gonna get about 300 copies of these. And we're gonna go on tour, me and you, Leonia. We're gonna do this reading thing.
Hey, if COVID is over, I'm on.
Oh yeah, COVID's about to be over.
But you know what's great about that book? You don't have to be a superstar or a rapper or a stripper or a dancer to be amazing. You can be amazing because you write books and you were a judge and you were a lawyer and you were an entertainer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
thanks for showing up. And,
all right.
And Judge Lloyd, Marquette is going to probably open our show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Thanks for doing this with me, for me. Again, you are a big sister. You were a mother figure, even though you weren't old enough to be our mother. You were everything on the road to us. We had a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Now a judge, lawyer, ready for the world. I didn't mention Mojo doing that contract for Mojo. David Ruffin, on and on and on. So I'm going to take, again, guys, subscribe, like, comment. I know I'm putting it in. And the links for Judge Lloyd's book will be under the post. Support. We're gonna close. Mark gonna close it out and take us home. Go with it, Mark.
One child grows up to be someone who just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be someone that you just love to burn. And it's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's It's a family affair.